Welcome everybody. I kind of last minute decided that I was going to rip this, and I needed Al and Matt here with me so we could talk strategy of cards with Al and values and overall impressions with Matt, as well as I am hoping to build a deck with this, and I have some other blister packs later. But if I get anything super crazy rare, I will probably sell it. But
so can I just say off the bat, it's interesting to me that there's no plastic seal. There's no plastic wrap. That's just
they have this like rip it at the bottom. And I was kind of looking, I was like, okay, could you possibly like finagle, your way into this? Like Al was saying before, I think it's possible. But yeah, it is a choice. I don't know if they should continue doing that based sketchy people's activity.
I would be super nervous 10 years from now buying a sealed box. I feel like you don't know what you're going to get from this.
Yeah.
I will say these packs feel kind of nice. They don't feel like they cheaped out on them.
Is it 30 or 36 in a box?
So there's 24 packs.
24, okay.
And there's 12 cards per box, right? So 6 commons, 3 uncommons,
2 rare or betters, and 1 holo of any rarity.
All right, so I guess I will separate these. Should I separate these by rarity or by color? I'm trying to think of how to do this.
I say rarity because it's nice to have a rare pile to go over as a review at the end, sort of the highlight reel, but, totally up to you.
Yeah, I guess that's a good idea. Okay, so according to Al, these should be common. So these little round circles are going to be our commons. So Timon, Tinkerbell, Peter Pan, Mickey Mouse. I see this used a decent amount. Peter Pan. I don't think I've ever seen that used. Simba's a throwaway card. Dragonfire. This is definitely a card I use on my steel deck. This is uncommon. This is great for just getting rid of like high value cards right away.
Yep.
Okay, so those are our commons. Uncommon here. Sven, I have not played with this one, but I also play with Purple the least. Mother Knows Best. This can be a very annoying card to play against.
Ooh, first rare. Maurice
is our first rare here. I have not used this, but in a Bell item heavy deck, it could be.
I've tried to use Maurice and it hasn't worked out well. I think it's just very difficult to sync up all the items. Especially with the 6-drop.
I feel like it's a very late game kind of. I don't know. It's supposed to be a mid game, but it takes to the late game to start playing it really. So too late.
I think So there's a lot of disagreement about Mother Gothel. I think Mother Gothel is a really, really interesting card against like an aggro deck. Basically, while this character is exerted, opposing characters can't quest. So if you have someone who's got a lot of lore on the board who's looking to quest, and you can't be prepared or just shut down the board, this is a really good way that forces them to all attack instead of quest at once, which can really give you an extra turn to catch up, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, my steel green deck, I definitely have her in there because playing against it can be really annoying. And as a 6 defense is also really solid, so she can take, 3 rounds of, those like cannons and other stuff.
Yeah.
All right. And Captain Hook. So
that's not bad.
So this is our, what is this?
It's a rare holo.
Rare holo. Right. Okay. So
I was going to say, as you go through it, do you want to talk a little about super rare versus legendary? I feel like it's something that's a little elusive to figure out.
Sure. So the tiers are common, uncommon, rare, super rare, legendary, and then enchanted. So basically the iconography is that common is a circle and everything uncommon is a book, and everything else is based on the number of sides in the shape. So like a rare is a triangle, a super rare is like a diamond, and a legendary is like a shell, and an enchanted rare is like a hexagon.
By the way, I looked up the value. It looks like that Captain Hook foil is about $1.50. So,
Okay. Mr. Smee, I think I've only played against that like once. I mean, it's got good defense, but because it only quests for 1, it doesn't really do much. This is probably one of the more or least popular Elsas that I've seen out there. Mickey Mouse, 3, 4, 1. It's okay. For cost of 3, it's okay. Mufasa, 3 lore is pretty sick. I don't know. It's a solid card. I just wish it had another like bonus or something else it would do. Otherwise, I think it would have more value. Pongo, I do like that he is evasive, and with a cost of 4, I include him in my red decks for sure. I'd usually put at least 3 or 4 in there because other people without the anti-evasive stuff will have an annoying time killing him. They usually have to use like cannons or plasma blast or something else. Fire the Cannons, definitely one of my favorites. I definitely put 3 or 4 of those in the deck. Coconut Basket is actually surprisingly good. Whenever you play a character, you can remove up to 2 damage from the chosen character. So if you play characters a lot, it constantly gives you the option to remove 2 damage. So with higher value characters out on the board, it's like really hard to take them out when you have Coconut Basket because you can just keep playing cheap characters and healing them.
Yeah, I don't think it's right now, but I think eventually a Sapphire deck that's focused on healing will be a really interesting play.
Yeah, a lot of times I find like I don't even have the opportunity to heal. They usually get killed off before you get the opportunity to do healing. Yep. If you have an item that's sitting there ready to heal, that definitely helps. Voiceless Ariel, that's not one I've used. Kronk, also not one I've really used. Dr. Facilier, this one is interesting. 3 lore, 5. I know there's I guess I just revealed the last one. I think I've only played against it a few times, but I don't play purple decks myself. Let's see. So that's a super rare. And LeFou, for a cheap character, it's helpful if you quest, like if you have somebody that's like maybe low defense, but they have decent lore, right? You can quest and then drop LeFou and then basically ready them so then they can't be targeted. So that is helpful. It buys you like another turn.
Yeah, that card is really useful if you want to attack multiple times with a card. So it pairs well with like an Aladdin or a Mulan. It also pairs well with like a Cusco or somebody who you just don't want to be attacked.
Yeah. And this is our foil card, the Captain. So this is an uncommon foil. I have not really seen this one played very often. So I'm going to leave the foil versions in front so we can see whether they're common, uncommon, or super rare, or whatever, in terms of foils. Okay. Pumbaa, meh. Maleficent, this one actually is helpful. I do see purple decks play with this a lot because when you play the character, you can draw a card. So purple and blue together, while purple keeps drawing cards and blue keeps inking them, you can make a pretty quick ink engine with something like that. Peter Pan, meh. Philoctetus, blah. Yeah, that's this. I think this is kind of a waste because with 1 defense, like it's just gonna get killed off.
Yeah, but his support is actually really interesting there. I've yet to work him into a deck, but I've been tempted several times.
Minnie Mouse, I don't think I've seen that in a deck yet.
I have that in the deck.
You do have it in a deck?
Yeah, I do. There's not a lot of red. There's not a lot of good red or green 1-drops.
Yeah, so it's usually the other deck that has to have the cheap ones, right? Fire the Cannons is solid. Shield of Virtue is also one I leave in my deck too because they can quest and then you can ready them right after. I mean, it does cost 3 to do that, so it's even more helpful later in the game. Yep. But that's definitely an item I use.
Yeah, it's really useful.
Ursula's Cauldron. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Put one on top of your deck and the other on the bottom. I have seen purple decks play with that. So I guess if you're looking for the right cards to pull up, that can be helpful. But
it's funny how similar it is to Magic. That is basically Scry in Magic. right? Like,
They clearly took some notes, right? Tamatoa. I have not seen this in a deck yet. I don't know if you've worked that in, Al. The defense with 4 is decent, but with 1 lore, whatever. Steal from the Rich. I definitely have one of these in my green steel deck. Whenever one of your characters quests this turn, each opponent loses 1 lore. So it can pan out. If you have like multiple characters on the board, it can be devastating. Or a game changer, right? But if you only have like 1 or 2 characters out, so sometimes it ends up sitting in your hand while you're trying to get out enough characters to really utilize it.
I think the fact that it's uninkable is actually what makes it unplayable to me. I tried, but if it gets stuck in your hand and you just have to wait it out, it can be really brutal.
Would you rather have it been 6 and inkable? Because that's too much. That's like too hot.
So.
I wouldn't play it.
There's a lot of competition for 5s in
there is
Emerald deck, right? I mean, you have Cusco, you have Mad Hatter. There's some other cards that are really good.
The Queen, also a popular card in the purple decks because you can continue to draw cards instead of like questing with 1. So it is helpful when you're like lower on cards.
Yep, so that one's super rare.
And that is a super rare, yeah. And then we have Donald Duck is a common foil. I ward. Opponents cannot choose this character except to challenge. I have not seen this in a deck yet. It's not terrible, but I don't know. I think there's a lot of competition for, again, like you were saying, 4s and 5s in the blue deck. So
yeah, if you're playing Sapphire on 5, I think you would much rather have a Jasmine or something like that.
Oh yeah, the fact that she can heal and stuff is just crazy.
I love seeing you get into playing a card game, right? It's great.
It's weird, right? Because I don't know how to play Star Wars CCG. Yeah, I talk about it all the time, and somehow I know about this game, even though Andy is definitely going to lose his mind when he sees this video. But that's okay because I'm not collecting, Andy. So you can troll all you want.
I will say
what?
It's way more fun to open packs when you're actually playing a game and you're actually looking for commons and uncommons to use than it is to just be like, go to the last card, up, lame, next pack.
That's true. Dinglehopper, I feel like, is just too blah. I mean, removing 1 damage from a chosen character. It is a 1. It's just like free ink, really. Doesn't really do much. Archimedes, 2 and 2, just your typical 1. Tinkerbell, evasive. I do have her, I believe, in my green steel deck because she's evasive.
Yep, I use her too.
You can also make another character evasive if you want to.
That's a really beneficial tech card, both because she's evasive and because you can make someone else evasive.
Yeah, and as a 4 cost, that's a nice mid-level card. Merlin, not a card I see in blue decks very often. I mean, you can add their attack to a chosen character's attack this turn, but I don't know. I guess it could be okay, but Gaston I definitely have in decks too because he's reckless. So if you're putting other stuff out there and you get these mid-level opponents, Gaston with a 4 attack will basically wreak havoc at least once.
Yeah, Gaston's really good.
Yeah, I like that. Goons is just another blah. 1 card, Scepter of Arendelle. Chosen character gains support this turn. Whenever they quest, you may add their attack to another chosen character's attack this turn. I have seen it effectively used well, but not often.
I actually think this is a really interesting card. I haven't figured out how to use it well yet, but I think if you paired it with like a Ruby Sapphire deck, it could be really, really useful because you can give massive attack power to a card that you don't mind losing, as opposed to like having to lose a really high quality card in a challenge.
Yeah, but I think the flip side is you end up having these like bully cards that are 5s and 6s, right? That are like attack, 5 or 6 and defense 5 or 6, like that really are only good for attacking. So I feel like it's almost like a choice. But blue is not known for its attacking cards, right? So you almost need this kind of stuff to counteract like red and steals some of their like brutal attack cards.
So I'm curious, as you go through this, can you kind of talk about each of the flavors of the 6 colors? Like, is red really aggro? Is blue very control? You know, like in Magic, you sort of think about colors with having big themes. Is that sort of echo as well in Lorcana?
Yeah, so red is very attack oriented. Amber is very aggro oriented. Green is very
it's like evasive
aggro / value oriented.
Yeah.
Steel is attack oriented as well. Red, it's more like challenges, and steel, it's more like
defense is like defensive,
like attack cards that you play. And purple is draw is its big thing.
Yeah, purple is big on drawing more cards. Blue is item heavy and revolves around like inking a lot. So like a lot of it is like getting a lot of ink really quickly, because if you can get a card out like Belle, once you get 10 in your inkwell, she lures for like 5. So people generally make their decks with her as like a high priority card, even though she's only 4. But it's tricky, right? Like you need some time. There's other like lower cards when paired with it, like Mother Tala, where if you banish her, she just goes into your inkwell. And then there's items that you can add an extra card from your hand into your inkwell. So with a purple, right, like you're drawing all these cards, and then you have an item that can instantly ink stuff. Or like Mickey, it just takes the top card and inks it. Before you know it, they have 50% more ink than you do. And you're like, oh crap. So now all of a sudden as steel, you're like, I don't want to play, a whole new world, because they're going to get 7 brand new cards, even if you do, and they're going to just like take over from that point. So it almost like negates the value of that. It's interesting. Simba, during your turn, whenever this character banishes another character at a challenge, you gain 1 lore. That is helpful. I don't think I've played with this Simba before. But I think I like Tinkerbell more. You can't ink this one, so Tinkerbell is just the Tinkerbell 6, the giant one. I like that more. Ariel, yeah, I don't see myself like playing that. Meh. There's just super rare. Magic Mirror is definitely like a must-have item in purple decks to continue to draw cards. And he's got a sword. Is our common foil.
Are the foil drops, is it equal chance to get a common, uncommon, and rare foil, or is it?
No, it's more most common that you will get a common than an uncommon, and so yeah.
So we're gonna keep track here. So right now we have 2 common foils, 1 uncommon foil, and 1 super rare foil.
I feel like, at least in my experience of pulling, it's like 2 to 1. So like 2 commons for every 1 uncommon, 2 uncommons for every 1 rare, kind of thing.
Okay. We got another useless Elsa, the Genie. This is the low-powered Genie. So if you're building a Genie deck, or Genie revolved around deck, I guess that's helpful, but I think there's better ones. Aurora.
Meh.
Yeah, she's meh. Sergeant Tibbs. I think I have 1 or 2 in my red deck just to have a single one. Tinkerbell, I definitely have her in my steel deck because she's got defense 4. It's helpful. You can draw a card and discard a card if you're in a pinch, but her 4 defense is helpful. Otherwise, with 3 cost to ink is not bad. Tigger, I have not used this. I used what am I thinking of? Goofy, because it's 1 less. And even though it's 3 attack, 4 defense, as opposed to this 4 attack, 4 defense, it's just easier to play the 5 than it is the 6. It's just like 1 more too many almost. But it is evasive, so. Pascal, this is actually a common one in the purple deck too, because while you have another character in play, this character gains evasive. So it's just like an annoying little evasive creature out there. So. Cheshire Cat, I also like this card too, because whenever the character is challenged and banished, you have to banish the challenging character. So you really don't want to have to attack Cheshire Cat like with somebody else or somebody you figured is already going to die anyways. But I try and use things like, the cannons or banish cards like on something like this to avoid losing a character. So I definitely have a bunch of Cheshire Cats in my deck.
This is very typical of green. Green, usually whenever you try to banish their cards, you get punished in some way.
Yeah, or they stop you from questing, so you're forced to attack, like Jasper, or they're just evasive, or you attack them and you lose a card. You have to discard, stuff like that. So it makes it annoying. Stitch, three lore. I find it difficult to play this card, like because it costs 6. Like there's a chance you might not have the opportunity to play it. But I think I do have one, maybe 2 in one of my red decks. So that's a super rare Mulan. I think Al, you were talking about Mulan earlier.
Yeah, I really like Mulan. I think if you're pairing Mulan with like Shield of Virtue and LeFou, you can really rack up some points. I was saying before we started that I had an 11-point turn with Mulan to swing a game where I was losing 19-9. So I think like as at least a tech card, Mulan is a really good choice, but I'm running 4.
Yeah. All right. And Beast is an uncommon. I do have him in my steel deck. It's helpful against like blue and purple decks because you can just banish an item just from popping out. And 4/4 and 2 lore is just like kind of solid all around. But if the character doesn't have items, then you're not really maximizing its value. All right, so 2 commons, 2 uncommons, and 1 super rare foil so far. What are your thoughts so far, Matt? You seem kind of lost in thought.
I just actually haven't played the game yet, so it's a bit of a mystery to me.
Oh God, you gotta get on Pixelborn, man. Just play around with it, and then you'll be
How's the interface on Pixelborn? Is it pretty solid, or what's the
very easy? Well, Al, you can explain it, right? I mean, it's pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, I've actually only played once. I played Kyle one time. It's the only time I played on Pixelborn, but it seemed pretty straightforward. I didn't have much in the way of instruction and was able to figure it out.
Yeah, I like how it like tells you what cards are playable. It can tell you like it shows you visually, like when cards are evasive, it'll have like a sparkling thing around the cards, or if it has ward, it has like, something in the middle. It has like different things going on with the card itself visually, so you can tell there's something special about it. Stitch, decent card to have as a junk one. Yzma, whenever this character quests, look at the top card of your deck, put it on either the top or bottom of your deck. Maybe I'd use that in a purple deck. I really haven't built much with that. Sudden Chill, each opponent chooses and discards a card. I find it doesn't quite do enough.
I agree.
Just choosing
is so much better.
Yeah, I mean, if it were 1, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't seem valuable enough. I think it's waste. I think it's just ink. Donald Duck. Opponents can't choose his character except a challenge. I also, again, haven't seen that much. Goofy. This is what I was talking about, like similar to Tigger, but he costs 1 less and 1 less attack, but essentially is the same. So I have a few Goofies in there in my red deck. Kristoff, I think this one is a waste because I think the Hans is better. Mm-hmm. It costs 1 more, but every time he quests, he can, give out 1 damage to any opponent, which is way more valuable, especially in a pinch. Bell, this is the inventive engineer one, right? So whenever this character quests, you pay 1 less for the next item you play this turn. So if you have a heavy item deck like Blue Might, this could be a value. But
so I think this pairs well with Scepter of Arendelle because you can play her and then play Scepter of Arendelle for free since it only costs 1.
Right.
It's a good image. I like the image. I mean, the art, I've just been kind of like drinking it in and enjoying it.
Yeah, it is cool art.
For people who aren't familiar, there's 3 different types of art. There's Storyborn, which is like from whatever story you know them from. Dreamborn, which is like reimagining them as some other role. And then there's Floodborn, which is basically like taking them well outside of what they're understood to do. So in the next set, there's going to be a Floodborn Gaston that's a like profound intellectual. So I really enjoy how they're like playing with the characters.
Oh, fun. Interesting. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how that'll change up gameplay and change up people's decks with the new stuff.
Yeah.
But I would imagine based on the colors, like you get the different abilities based on their color styles, right? Maximus, I do not really see this card ever played. So, Starkey, I think there's other cards worth playing, worth 5. But while you have a captain character in play, this character gets +1 lore. So, in theory, if you have a Captain Hook deck and lots of cannons and kind of build it around that way, I haven't made one like that or tested it out yet, but so far I'm lukewarm about it. I haven't used it. Simba, not bad. I mean, while challenging, this character gets +4. So with 8, I mean, it's gonna basically take down anything. And the character gains evasive, right? So this can be brutal, but it is expensive card. So
yeah, I don't see it being that useful because anybody who's running an evasive deck has probably beaten you by the time you've gotten to 7, unless you have some type of like ink ramp strategy.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just because it costs 7. I mean, it's either at the end game or you might not even have the opportunity to play it. So if it ends up in the top quarter of your deck, it's just going to become ink.
Yep. Which is fine. There are some. It's good to have cards that are situational and can be inked.
All right, so I'll put that there. Hades. I actually did add 1 or 2 of these to my orange deck because I've realized if you get a Hades like somewhere in the mid game and you can play it, returning a character from the discard to your hand can be like really helpful. You have like a wide range of stuff in the trash. You can get exactly what you're looking for. Especially if you need some. I mean, I'm trying to think what the one is where you can gain an item for action from the trash, but nonetheless, it can be helpful in a pinch. And then John Silver. Okay, so he's
legendary.
Legendary foil rare.
So yeah, he's not a foil, right? He's just regular.
No, this is foil.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah, so here's a legendary rare right here. It's a cool looking card too.
Yeah, I don't think he's like wildly expensive, but he's a really useful card.
Yeah, he's like looks like $26 for the foil. So
when you play this character and whenever he quests, chosen opposing character gains reckless during the next turn. They can't quest and must challenge if able. So yeah, I haven't thrown him in my deck before, but if you really needed somebody to not quest, like towards the late game, and they're like, oh my god, like don't don't quest, this could be super helpful.
He's just such a versatile card because like
5/5
2 lore is decent, 5/5 is decent, and the ability to disrupt the other side is also quite good.
6 is relatively high, but acceptable for what it does.
Yeah, green. I mean, emerald decks tend to be more mid range, so 6 is, I think, like right at the top there.
All right, so far, what's the estimated value we got here, Matt?
Maybe $50.
Maybe $50. Okay, so we're almost a third way through here. Kuna Matata. I rarely get the opportunity to use that as of right now. I feel like most of my characters die before I can use that to its potential, especially since it costs 4, so it usually becomes ink. Bucket Brigade. I feel like a lot of purple decks play with this. When you play with this character, you may shuffle a card from any discard into its player's deck. So, yeah, if you're going through your deck quickly, this can be helpful. I do see there's also a Mickey card that I think allows you to bring Bruns back.
Yeah, they if they're banished, they go to your hand, which is really
exactly. So essentially, they just keep popping up. All right, so we got that. Stampede.
Pointless.
Deal 2 damage to chosen character. Yeah.
No, chosen damaged character. It's even worse than that.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's like a bad cannons.
Yep.
Flounder, just another lore waster or inker. Tangle, each opponent loses 1 lore. I really usually just ink this. I feel like paying 2 just for them to lose 1 kind of sucks.
Yeah, I would not put that in my deck. I mean, you can play the Aladdin, which causes them to lose 1 lore, and also is a 2/2 character, and he only costs 1 more.
Yeah, no, I try and save the Aladdins, but I would definitely leave at least 3 or 4 of those in a red deck because they're so clutch, like especially just for like evening things out in the middle. Beast's Mirror, it's good to have one of these in the deck. I think I have 1 or 2 in my steel deck. If you have no cards in your hand, draw a card. I find with my steel and orange decks, I always run out of cards. So this kind of is like essential. If you can't get a hold of a whole new world, then this is your next best bet. Fan the Flames. I think LeFou as the character is more valuable than leaving this action card in.
Agreed.
Otherwise, it's just free ink. Anna, Loving Heart. When you play this character, if you have a character named Elsa in play, choose an opposing character. The chosen character doesn't ready at the start of their next turn. So, I mean, I don't know. Played with the other Elsa, maybe. I haven't seen it played. Only 2 attack is not really that great. It's very targeted. I wonder if we'll find more cards like moving forward that'll be really hyper targeted towards specific cards, you know, like with names. Because I feel like early on there's only a few cards that call it. Like I know this is one of them. But yep. Mad Hatter, I do like this card. Whenever the character's challenged, you may draw a card.
Yeah,
and it's 3 lore. This card is definitely one you want to have like at least 3 in your deck. This is just a great card.
I run 4.
Yeah, this is a solid card.
Cusco.
Cusco is also one I have learned to appreciate because you can't target it from things like cannons and banishes and stuff. You have to actually attack it.
I also think he might, this is a question for Matt, but I think he might be the most expensive rare card in the set. I think he's worth like
let me do my research machine here.
Well, 3 lore is awesome. 4 defense is good, so he'll survive at least most attacks initially. Like you have to take him head on, right, to take him out. But if you can quest even just once, if not twice, then it's totally worth it.
Yeah, and again, this is like he's so sick with Shield of Virtue or LeFou, like the ability to ready him after he quests. Because you can't target him with, you know, fire the cannons or that sort of stuff, right? Then he just basically gets to quest in perpetuity and doesn't ever have to worry about it. It's massive.
Yeah, it makes it really, really difficult to get rid of.
Yep.
It's kind of a race. Like when he comes out, it's like I need a race to take this card out because you're going to lose the game if you don't take it.
Oh,
Maleficent. Okay, so this is our super legendary. This is a card you definitely have to have at least one of in the deck, just in case you get enough ink to be able to play it. It's just being able to play it and banish a character is pretty solid.
But I think it's your best goal.
I mean, a 9 is really, really high, so you better have like one hell of an ink engine by the time you get it. Because if you get it in the first third of the game, like you're just going to ink it because you're not going to have the chance to play it.
I only see this card playing in either a Sapphire Ruby like Ingram strategy or an Amethyst Ruby like control strategy. But yeah, I mean, I think this is like a $50 pack so far.
If the game drags on, then this card gets better and better if you haven't seen it yet. If you get it early, then unfortunately it's just ink. Fire the cannons in foil.
It's a great one.
It will look very nice in your steel deck.
I just like this card. Like it's really helpful in a pinch because I'm just like, oh, you played this card. This is going to be evasive and annoying to kill. I'm like, I'm just going to cannon you and then continue on with whatever I'm doing. And it only costs 1. So
there's 6 colors. Is there like a neutral at all or like a gray?
No,
like
not yet.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. There's no
every deck can have a maximum of 2 colors.
Okay.
So you're saying you imagine, because I guess, are you saying like Magic? I don't know enough about Magic, but Magic.
Yeah. There's just an entire category of like neutral, right? That can, you know, it's the mana cost is any mana color.
Okay.
So it's just nice to have like some sort of flex cards in there, right?
Sebastian, no, don't really get the opportunity to play that. Tinkerbell, it's evasive. Your character's named Peter Pan, gain Challenger +1. I mean, I don't know. You can't ink it, so it either gets stuck in your hand. I haven't played enough with purple, but Vicious Betrayal.
Nope.
This usually becomes just ink. I
It
don't
usually
think I've
becomes
seen
not part of your deck.
not part of your deck. Mufasa, I think we spoke about that earlier. Abu, I have not played with him. I think there's other three. I'd rather have more Aladdins than Abu's, but yeah, it's not bad.
Captain Hook is good.
Captain Hook is good because it's great to like have three to take out like some of those like early mid characters. And like, sure, he might die, but like he'll take out because he's got 3 attack. It's very helpful. It's just like one of those cards you almost don't want to do. If there's another character that's quested and you can attack it, then great, play it. But if the other one didn't quest or is readying, then it's almost not worth questing for one because they'll get taken out without damaging the other one. So you almost kind of sit and wait.
Yeah, you almost kind of
to
have
me
to
that like
attack
that. So that's an uncommon, right? Or is it?
That's a common. That's
it's a common. It's fascinating to me that was one of the D23 promos, right?
That's true. It's a solid card. I definitely have at least 2 or 3, I think, in my steel deck for a 1. It's a decent one. Most of the time it comes ink, but every once in a while when you need a character in a pinch, it's not bad. Chief Tui, I have not played with enough blue myself, but support. Whenever this quests, you may add their attack to chosen character's attack this turn. So similar theme with the other blue cards. 3 lore is nice, but 7 is pretty expensive. Prince Philip. When this character challenges and he's banished, you may banish the challenged character. So that's very much like a green card.
No, this is actually different. So like if you're playing Big Maleficent and Philip challenges him, even though Philip doesn't have the strength to take it out, that card will be banished. So this is the type of like tech card you want to keep in your deck if you're playing a deck that has really powerful characters, because even though he's not strong enough to take them out, he will banish them automatically.
Yeah, I think I have at least one. I think I managed to squeeze at least one into my deck.
Yeah. He's just tough to use because he's not inkable and he's not going to be appropriate in every situation. So yeah, I think he's maybe a 1 or a 2 of.
Right. Smash. I definitely keep like 1 or 2 of these around like as a just in case, because it's mostly just becomes ink, but in the occasional event where I need to take something out like urgently,
removal
it is nice
always
to
good.
have.
That's really interesting. I would rather have 4 smashes than fire the cannons, because I feel like three is a really useful number and 2 is kind of underwhelming.
Well, no, because a lot of the characters, like sometimes if you I don't know, there's a bunch that have 2, but if you can attack, if you have weaker characters out, and let's say they have defense of like 4, you can shoot a cannon, take it to 2, and then use a character that's weaker to take out the more powerful character.
Yeah,
right?
I think the bigger issue is just that the fired cannons are uninkable. So if you draw them late in the game, there's like nothing you can do with it. Where at least this you can play as ink.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping I get them early in the game. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I have at least 2, maybe 3 smashes in my deck, so that's not bad. Tamatoa, I have not seen this played effectively from anyone.
I tried to play him. It was not effective.
But 8 is like brutal. Like that's so much. I mean, when you play this character in Wave of Quest, you may return an item card from your discard to your hand. So in theory, that could be nice, but hopefully you've already played all the items you've wanted by the time you can actually play this card. In Glam, the character gets +1 for each item you have in play. Okay. I mean, again, like you would have had a bunch of items out, so why do you urgently need an item from the discard pile?
Yeah, there's also very little item removal, so there's just not a lot of value to it. Nice.
Good looking card.
Where did I? Oh, I think did I miss? I think I separated these, right? Oh, that's legendary. Sorry, I'm reorganizing here. I realize that should be a different pile. Okay, and then Aladdin. This is a great character. I definitely have at least 2, if not 3. I think I have 2, only because 7 is pretty expensive. But being able to gain 2 lore and opponent loses 2 lore is game changing at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely game changing, and 5/5 is really solid 2 lore. So I mean, yeah. Boing and Pumbaa, a common foil for this one. So 4 common foils, 2 uncommon foils, 1 super rare, and
I think the Captain Hook's just rare.
or rare and 1 legendary rare. Right. Yes.
I love that version of Beast there. It's just a great looking card.
Yeah, it is. It's a cool card.
How many packs we got left here? Are we at the halfway point yet, or are we still got?
So I think I should. Maybe I'll go a little bit quicker on these. I've been going kind of slow.
I think he's only at 8.
Yeah, I have a bunch more. This is like a third through.
Simba's the best common card in the game.
I'll let Al do the talking with this, but Simba, he definitely likes Simba a lot.
Simba, the combination of Lilo and Simba is the most powerful 1-2 combo in the game.
Being a bodyguard is very helpful, but there's also mid-level bodyguards, but it's nice to have like a weak one that's just like a sacrificial lamb for some of the low-cost cards or low defense cards that give 2 lore earlier in the game. Wardrobe, I don't know. I haven't seen that used. Aladdin, ward, opponents cannot choose this character except a challenge.
Yeah.
I think the red Aladdin is obviously better. Merlin, we've discussed already. Minnie Mouse, discussed. Captain Hook, we've discussed. This is the not exciting Moana. I mean, I guess if you have a character named Tika you're facing, great, but I haven't seen a Tika played very often. So
no.
Olaf, uncommon. That's just like a throwaway inker. Jumba, Jukiba. I've seen this in some decks. I don't have it in mine.
Yeah, there's better.
Meh.
Maui's really good.
Maui I do have in my deck because he's reckless.
And because he can rush. So the ability to play Maui on 5 and rush is like crucial.
Robin Hood. I've not found a way to use this effectively, but again, I haven't played much with the blue decks. And Maleficent is a common foil.
Yeah, Robin Hood's a really interesting tech card because if you have fewer cards in your hand than your opponent, you can draw a card, which is really nice. And he's also evasive. He's the only way in Sapphire, I think, to challenge an evasive character. So if you run into an evasive deck, it's really useful to have him.
How we doing, Matt?
We're good. That's okay. Maui's actually, he's an $8 card, $9. I'm curious to see if you're going to get close to your value back. I feel like the ROI in a box at not MSRP is probably.
Are you keeping like a running tally roughly?
No, not really, to be honest. But I'm pretty sure you're at maybe like $80 right now or $90.
Okay. Jetsam, evasive, 3/3, but it only has 1 lore. So, Genie, that's the weaker Genie. Develop your brain. I do see in a lot of blue decks if they don't use it for throwing away, putting 1 into their hand can be helpful.
That's fine.
And as a cost of 1 and inking, that's fine. Scar, I feel like I threw him in a deck once, but there's just other things that are more important to play rather than him. Fire the cannons, as we all love. 1 jump ahead.
This is useful if you're running an Inkram strategy because it allows you to put the top card of your deck into the inkwell face down.
Yeah, because then you could end up putting a card that can't be inked in there.
Right.
You won't know, but in theory. Be our guest. I usually ink this. I don't think I use it as much as I want to.
So if you have a strategy where you really depend on having a single character, like if you're building around Stitch Rockstar or something, that's a really useful card.
I have not used Frying Pan.
I'm talking about Hakuna Matata. Frying Pan is terrible.
You mean Be Our Guest?
Or Be Our Guest. Yeah.
No, Frying Pan, no, I haven't really used it. Captain Hook, I have not done a Hook deck, but I do like that you can take Fire the Cannons from your discard to your hand. So you can get more Fire the Cannons if you get them early. Yeah. But you can't ink them, so it makes me hesitant to add him, plus he's only 1 lore. So, I don't know. Lilo is your favorite. And
do it again.
Wait, this actually can be brutal. I have been absolutely punished by this card before. When they return action from a steel deck, like what's that one where it deals 2 damage to everybody, right? So like
Well,
you just play this, play it again, play it.
Grab Your Sword is a song, I think. So I don't think
Grab Your
you can return
Sword. Action card or Banish. Is that where you can take Banish back? I'm trying to remember. Anyways, I have been punished with this card before.
Yeah, I mean, to be able to take back like Dragonfire or something would be brutal. I think that Lilo is like a $15 or $20 card. At least it was last I checked.
Well, Lilo's should definitely be in your orange deck if you don't have it. I think I have 3 in my deck. The problem is Lilo gets targeted pretty quickly, so
that's why
I almost don't want to quest with it unless you can somehow defend it, ideally. But if you're playing against like a steel or red where they can just punish you from afar, then it's kind of rough.
That's why I like 4 Lilos, 4 Stitches. I mean, 4 Simbas.
It looks like Lilo's like $12. I think prices on singles have come down quite a bit.
Yeah,
I think the enchanted still are pretty insane, but which is a pretty normal pattern, frankly. The chase cards in the game are typically going to keep going up in value because people are chasing them, and then everything else sort of normalizes a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Cusco, and I mean Lilo like 3 weeks ago was like a $25 to $30 card, which for a card that's only rare is insane because there are a lot of them out there. There are just so many people running 4 of them.
That makes sense.
Is that the card limit? You can have 4 of each card?
Yeah, okay. Up to 4 of each card, yeah. Healing Glow, I've found is just kind of a waste.
Yeah.
An ink. Dr. Facilier, I don't know. Again, I don't really run purple decks, but I think he's meh. Horus, I think Jasper's better. So Horus is 4/3. Jasper is
Jasper is an amazing card.
Jasmine's
really good.
Decent to have in your deck, and then you can build the better Jasmine on top of it. The healing Jasmines.
Yep.
Elsa. Yep. There's a red. That's no Blizzard. Whenever you play a character named Anna, ready this character. This character can quest for the rest of the turn. I haven't used it myself. Break, I also haven't really used. You can just banish an item, but I like Beast because I can kind of do 2 for 1. So, Fan the Flames, again, we discussed that. Anna, yeah, we discussed that. Here's Jasper, right? Whenever the character quests, chosen opposing character can't quest during the next turn, so you can just target their like 3 lore character and just stop them. So I definitely have at least 2, if not 3 Jaspers in my green steel deck. Yago can also be really annoying if you play him right. Basically, the chosen character gains reckless, so they have to challenge. So you can make characters that were really not designed to challenge, force them to challenge. Hans, I definitely put at least 3, if not 4 Hans in my deck. As whenever this character quests, you can deal 1 damage to chosen character. That comes in so handy against like evasive and other annoying characters, or readied character, like not readied characters. It doesn't matter. You can just deal damage to them, which is super clutch. And Tinkerbell, common foil. So, all right. So we got 6 common foils now. 2 uncommons, 2 rares, no super rare foils, and 1 legendary foil. All right. Control your temper. Chosen character gets -2. I haven't really used that. Waste. Maleficent, we've covered that already. Tinkerbell, we've covered that already. Magic Golden Flower, banish this item, removed to 3. Again, I think it gets just inked right away. I don't know. Goofy, we've shared that before. Eric, I include him in my steel decks because he's like Hook, right? I mean, when challenging this character, he's like a slightly better Hook because he's got 3 defense. Chief Twee. LeFou, this is the different LeFou. I don't know. I don't think he's that great. Ransack, also a waste of a card, unless you've heard otherwise, Al. Maleficent, This is also one that's popular in blue decks too because she's got 3 lore and costs 5 and has 6 defense. I mean, that's pretty solid.
Yeah, that's a solid card.
This is
Oh, a
Rapunzel. So here's our legendary rare. Rapunzel is bitchin'. I definitely include at least 3, if not 4, in my deck because when she removes the damage from the characters, you can draw a card. So that's like perfect for steal because you're always running out of cards.
That card is sick. Matt, what's that card up to now? So like $50?
I was on mute there. I think it's like $60. So that's definitely the most valuable. So you might be, and then you got a foil Elsa there, which
foil Elsa uncommon. So this is not the higher up Elsa. This is the uncommon Elsa.
What's her? Is she the Queen Regent or which one is it? There's so many.
It's a Snow Queen.
Snow Queen.
I don't think that one's worth very much.
No, that's the
She
lower.
was also a D23 promo. Yeah, the foil's worth $8 though because people.
I think people just like Elsa.
Oh, wow.
I think it's just like a pretty looking card.
I mean, I feel like you've got to be between like 150 and 175 bucks so far.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Hee. Just a throwaway ink card. Freeze. Each exert chosen opposing character. I feel like you can use freeze on the Elsa that is deployed. I think in either 5 or 6. I think you can, or even the 8 one. I think too, right?
Yeah, and then you can 2 characters.
It's a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't even feel that card.
Vicious character, Donald Duck. So whatever. He's got a sword. I haven't used this one. It's an action. If it were an item, that could be different, right? If you had an item that could give somebody 2+ attack, that would be different. But as an action, whatever. Beast Mirror, we've shared that. Rapunzel, when you play this character, each opponent loses 1 lore. So this is like a slightly higher level Aladdin, but not quite the highest Aladdin, rather.
If it was like 5 and inkable, you might play it, but 6 and uninkable, no.
I think I added 1 in my red deck just in case. Elsa uncommon. Mad Hatter we discussed is awesome. Marshmallow is our super rare.
Pretty cool looking card, but
when this character is banished in a challenge, you may return this card to your hand. So he can just kind of relentlessly continue to exist. So I guess if you had, like an ink heavy deck, this could be devastating in the end game. You just continue to have it popping out. But Tika, I have not played with this. I don't know. It does have 8 attack, but why do I need 8 attack? Like the instances where I'm going to need 8 attack. I mean, even Maleficent, he only has 5 defense. Like, why do I need 8? So I think it's overkill for the most part. Magic Golden Flowers are common foil.
I feel like you've gotten a lot of super rares out of this box, and a lot of legendaries too.
What have you gotten? 2 legendaries so far?
Yep, we have 2 legendaries. Decent amount of super rares here.
Are you counting the legendaries? 1 a box? Or what's the drop rate on legendaries?
It's usually like 2 a box, maybe.
See if you can find the odds. I don't see them on the pack. Sometimes they tell you on the pack, but these packs do not share that information. All right, Pumbaa, Jafar. This is the one of the less powerful ones. Challenge +3, so it is an attack 5 if you use it as an attacker. But I think there's a better Jafar. Duke of Wesselton, throwaway. Ink card, Maleficent. Yeah.
So it looks like legendary are 1 in every 5. Legendary hollow are 1 in every 50, and enchanted are 1 in every 72.
Oh wow. This is the Aladdin we were telling you about. When you play this character, each opponent loses 1 lore with 2/2. This is definitely a must-have for red decks. Simba, it's just a free ink essentially. Scepter of Arendelle. Cinderella, Singer 5.
Cinderella's good.
Cinderella, remove up to 3 damage from chosen princess characters. So unlike Rapunzel, it does have 1 more attack, but it's not an attacking character. And I think removing the 3 damage and gaining a card per damage, I think is more powerful.
So if you're doing like an Amber Sapphire Princess deck where you have like, so Moana allows you to re-ready any princess at the end of your turn, basically. So if you have like Moana and Jasmine and Cinderella, like that can be a devastating combo.
This Simba might consider being in my deck if it were inkable, but it's not. But yeah, you can gain 1 lore when you banish another character. So I don't know. Dr. Facilier. When you play a song, you may look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one on top of your deck and the other on the bottom. Yeah. Be prepared. This can be a game-changing card, absolutely. This I had to include because when you are like all against the walls and the other players got like 8 cards on the table and you have none, this absolutely just like instantly wins the game. Like you take all of them out at once. I mean, it'll take out your characters too, so you want to strategically like hang on to it until you're ready to be like, okay, I'm going to attack with everybody or quest and then wreak hell. So yeah, this is a must-have. It is 7, but it's definitely worth keeping in to save your butt. And Tamatoa is our what is a super rare?
Yep.
Well, so probably. It's a pretty looking foil. And that is our first super rare foil.
Love that pack ripping noise. It's like
Minnie Mouse. So whatever. Friends on the other side. Draw 2 cards as an action or song. Purple decks definitely use this a lot too. Megara, I think I have 1 or 2. It's usually as a throwaway ink card. However, when you play her, you can just add 2 to a different player. So if you have another person who's about to attack and you need that little bit extra oomph, she can be that like one-time play. But because she's got defensive 1, she's basically not going to last very long. Flounders, throwaway, Sergeant Tibbs, whatever. Hercules is a bodyguard, so you have to choose a bodyguard character when he comes out and you want to attack. 3, 3, and 3. So not bad. Maybe it's like a slightly better Simba.
Basically the same thing as Defender and Magic. It's like the exact same.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few cards with bodyguard. Like I think Donald Duck has like a musketeer version that's a little bit higher, but he only lures for 1, so I don't know. It's not much incentive to quest with him. Cut to the chase. Chosen character gains a rush this turn. I haven't used it myself. Ursula's Cauldron. Called that out. The Beast is mine. I have not used this. Chosen character gains Reckless during the next turn. I think it costs too much to play that, to be honest.
I could see that being useful when the next set comes out if you have the Bell Hidden Archer card, because that card is just ridiculous. Basically, if your opponent attacks that card, they have to discard all of the cards in their hand. So being able to force them to attack that card could be like game-changing.
Musketeer Tabard. Whenever one of your characters with bodyguard is banished, you may draw a card. So I was trying to build a deck with a bunch of bodyguards to have this be useful, because I have seen it where decks have like 2 of these and then like they have Simbas and Donald Ducks and other things, and they keep drawing cards. So you kind of have to build a deck around that if you're going to play this. So it can be useful. It's not one I actively use right now, but
ooh, Stitch Rockstar, that's a good one.
Stitch Rockstar, yep. Stitch Rockstars are super rare. This is a decent card because it's got 3 lore, it costs 6, 5 defense. Whenever a character costs 2 or less, you may exert them to draw a card. So
this is a card you might build an entire strategy around. Like if you have mostly 1 and 2 drops, and then you plan to shift 4 over a Stitch on this, and then you're just playing multiple cards over and over again. I actually tried to build an Amethyst Amber deck with this, where you could draw cards and then play Stitch. I couldn't quite get it to work out. I got it to work one time, and it was like I ended up playing like 11 cards on 1 turn or something. It was like ridiculous.
I use the other Stitch. It costs 1 more, but if you have 2 or more characters, you draw 2 cards. But yeah, that can be helpful. And then Flynn Rider.
Flynn Rider is also really good.
I definitely have like 3 of them in my green deck. For a cheap character, he's evasive. So, or no, well, no,
he's not evasive, but
he's not evasive. You banish a card. Right?
Yeah,
you choose a card. Yeah, it's really helpful. So that's an uncommon. So recapping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 common foils, 4 uncommons, 2 rares, 1 super rare, 1 legendary. All right, this will be 2/3 through the box. I think I need to go a little quicker on these. Matt's like,
yeah, you're over the hour mark here, so this is the same as watching a movie at this point.
Like, Dolan Scimitar.
Throw it out there for folks listening.
A character named Aladdin is chosen. He gets +2 instead. Nah. Aurora, no. Tango, we discussed. Captain Hook, we discussed. Eye of the Fates, chosen character gets +1 this turn. This can be very helpful if you have this because it's an item, right? So you have a character, you're just giving them 1 lore. If you can keep that item out there, that is an essential item for the blue decks. Maximus, we've discussed. Smash, we've discussed. Lantern, I have at least 2 of these in my decks. It can be very helpful for getting those mid-level characters out earlier in the game.
Yep.
Hans, this is definitely an essential character. 3 lore, 3/3. This character is awesome. It's just like a general solid character. I think I have at least 3 in my deck. And Goofy common foil. Okay. Moving on. Before Matt falls asleep on us. How is new father life?
It's good. It's good. It's
joining the club.
Not a lot of sleep at this stage, but
I'm surprised you're here at all. To be honest, I don't even remember the first like month and a half. I think I was just a zombie. All right, let's see. Stitch, Archimedes, Stampede. I've kind of seen these work together. I think I've only seen this in like 1 deck. You can add support from another character. Gaston, we've shared. Tinkerbell, we've discussed. Shield of Virtue, solid. Befuddle, return a character item with cost 2 or less to the player's hand. That's just more of an annoyance. But I would probably keep that. Mother Knows Best, also an annoying card. This is the good Jasmine, right? When you play this character, whenever she quests, you may remove up to 2 damage from each of your characters. So if you have a bunch of characters out there, this Jasmine is just like so brutal to have to deal with.
Yeah.
And Mickey Mouse, legendary. Yeah. And Simba, foil. But yeah, this Mickey Mouse, I think I have 1 in my red deck because it's very rare when I can get to play him. He usually becomes ink, but in the rare event I get to play him, 4 lore is just like ridiculous. And he's evasive, so he's more annoying to kill.
I think you are over the $200 mark here.
For sure, yeah.
So, not bad. And you have what, 4 packs left? 5
we
packs
have
left?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus what's in my hand. So
yeah, I think you're doing above expectation for sure.
Yeah.
Kuna Matata, Broom, Sudden Chill, Flocktease. He's got a sword. Fire the Cannons, Coconut Basket, Prince Philip. Here's the other Donald Duck I was talking about.
Ooh.
He's got Bodyguard, 5 defense. And during your turn, your Musketeer characters gain evasive. So if you were going to build a deck around Musketeers and Bodyguards, then this would be helpful. But otherwise, with 1 lore, I think he's there. You can do better. Flotsam, purple decks, right? There's a rare. A Whole New World definitely needs to be in your steel deck. At least 2 of these because these just flip the game upside down. When you steal, I'm always running out of cards. So getting 7 cards in your hand again can be crazy. It helps with the other player already has like 5 or 6, 7 cards in their hand. So then it doesn't really.
It's a solid $15 card. And then it's not Baroque.
And this is a rare foil. Return an item card from your discard to your hand. I feel like I did have that in a blue deck, but I don't know.
I feel like you've done really well in the tiers. Like you've gotten among your rares, you've gotten some of the really valuable rares. Same thing with the super rares, and same thing with the legendaries. So
yeah,
you can see them here, right?
You still have a lot of. I mean, you got 6 packs left here, so you got a quarter of the box left.
Yeah, I'm gonna move these over because we need to make some room. Yeah, there's a lot of these Mickey inserts. You're saying there's only 4 of them?
Yeah.
So I'll just have like a lot of them.
Complete sets, yeah.
That doesn't make any freaking sense. I mean, I guess if they made numbered inserts or like parallel inserts, then it would be more interesting.
Well, I think they there's the QR code on the back, so I think they were just trying to think of some art to put on the front of it.
Mickey.
Maybe when they have an online client, they'll be able to do something useful with it.
This one I include in the deck too because he's just a nice bully card. He usually gets inked, but if I need somebody to just take somebody out, then I think that's more helpful than Scar. Donald Duck. Rafiki is annoying. This character can challenge the turn they're played, so they just drop him and start challenging right away. It's really annoying. Dr. Facilier's cards. You pay 1 less for the next action you play this turn. Meh. Scar. Here's our rare. Maui. This is the 8 one. I think he just costs too much. He's powerful, but again, 8/8 is kind of overkill, right? At least right now. And hi, common foil.
It's funny, instinctively you put all the foils in sleeves, but not like the probably more valuable like rares.
Your most expensive cards for the most part are non-foils.
Yeah, like the Mickey, and it's just a funny instinctive thing to do.
Well, I think it'll be easier for me to like kind of see it by the time I'm done like having to organize, right? Okay, we'll try and rush through this. We've already covered these cards, right? Peter Pan. Yeah.
Aurora is a nice 2-drop.
Voiceless Ariel. Nah.
Pass.
I do keep 1 Ursula's Shell necklace in my deck because when you play a song, you can pay 1 to draw a card. So can be helpful.
This is the good Ariel.
This is a good Ariel. This is a super rare one.
This is like a must-have in Amber Steel decks.
I think I have at least 2, if not 3, of her in my decks. And Eye of the Fates, uncommon foil.
Yeah, being able to play Ariel on 3 and then grab your sword, have her sing grab your sword on 4 is like devastating in Amber Steel. Grab your sword does 2 damage to every character, all of your opponent's characters.
Simba. Good to have more Simbas. Jafar, Aladdin, Jasmine, Solid Blue, Elsa, Kristoff, Captain. I also haven't found a use for him. He doesn't have any bonus text. He's just kind of a good, strong character to have.
He's a much worse version of Maui.
Yeah, I'd rather have Maui. Reflection. Character costs 1 or more. Can sing this song for free. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Put them back on top of your deck anyway. Meh. I mean, it does cost 1. Flynn Rider. Solid. Corella DeVille. When this character is challenged or banished, you may turn chosen character to the player's hand. So that's helpful. Let It Go. I feel like most people just exert this.
I think that's a reasonably expensive one too, if I remember correctly.
And Freeze is a common foil. A lot of common foils. Okay, so down to the last 3 packs. This is quite the haul here. Okay, Wardrobe, Blah, Wendelson, Maleficent, good Aladdin, Prince Eric. We've seen him. King Triton is annoying to play against because he's got 9 defense, right? But he's 7, so it's kind of a lot. Goofy is a Musketeer. So if you make a Musketeer deck, then you can remove up to 2 damage from each of your Musketeer characters. And again, playing with the other bodyguard stuff, that can be helpful. Lilo. Meh, I don't think I play with him.
I like Lilo.
Zeus. While challenging, this character gets 4 and he can rush. So he just kind of like appears out of nowhere and just like strikes 4 damage on somebody, which is very surprising from a purple stick.
Ooh, another
And John Silver is our legendary rare. Okay, cool. And Vicious Betrayal common foil.
If you're not going Emerald, I might need to trade you for one of those John Silvers.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm doing with these. I'm sure Jamie's going to look at this and want to buy some of these off me. So, Jetson, right. We've seen all these. Pongo, Captain Hook, Dragonfire, Sven. I don't play him. I think there's better cards to play with that amount of cost. Sword of Truth also is very specific. Banish this item, banish chosen villain character. Meh. Mickey Mouse. And whenever you play an action, chosen opposing character can't quest during their next turn. This could be solid. It's too bad you can't ink him, though.
Yeah, I've
It's
tried.
risky to play.
Not my fave.
And Mickey Mouse. Uncommon foil.
True friend.
True friend. He's just like a solid all-around guy, you know? But he's not one I play with in my deck, so.
Is this our last pack or second to last pack?
This is the last pack. This
Okay.
is the end of the line. So after this, we can
We'll
figure out where we're at. And yeah. Okay. Hoi hoi. Freeze. Stolen Skimtar. Develop your brain. Abu. Hercules. One jump ahead. Discuss that. LeFou. Frying Pan. Mickey Mouse is a rare, so Bodyguard. This character may enter play exerted. An opposing character who challenges one of your characters must choose one with Bodyguard. If able, your other Musketeer characters get +1 attack. So again, with the Musketeer deck, I guess it could be good. Moana. This is a great one. I definitely have at least 3 in my deck with this. Whenever the character quests, you can ready your other princess characters, and they can't quest for the rest of the turn. It sucks she only has 1 attack, so she's really just somebody you want to quest with as much as possible before she gets killed off. And White Rabbit's Pocket Watch is our rare foil.
That's actually a really useful card in Amethyst decks because it allows you to give a character rush.
Yes. Yeah, in a pinch, that can be super helpful. So, I'm trying to think how
24 packs. We got
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 common foils. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 uncommon foils. So that 50% of common foils, as Al projected, was right. 4 rares, 1 super rare, 1 legendary. We have 4 legendary cards non-foil, and a whole bunch of other rares here. I don't know. All in all, I saw I think the majority of the cards I needed to see to add into a deck. Unfortunately, I need multiple of some of them to make an effective deck. So maybe that's where starter decks come in. I don't know.
Yeah, the starter decks are really useful for at least building out the commons and the uncommons. But yeah, it's still expensive.
Want to do a quick review of the highlights here?
Okay, so I would say, I mean, this legendary, or no, I mean the super rare foil. This legendary foil is pretty nice. John Silver, right? These legendary ones. Maleficent, Rapunzel, Mickey Mouse, and John Silver. All playable, good cards. Those are probably the best ones there, right?
Yeah, I would say like half of the legendary cards are unplayable, so you did real well there.
Yeah, I mean, Ariel, Whole New World, super helpful. Stitch, Hans is very good. Robin Hood is decent. Aladdin is very good. Mulan is decent. Mother Gothel and the Queen, perhaps. Moana, definitely happy to see that. Mickey Mouse. Zeus is good for purple decks.
I mean, I think overall, looking through this, I think you got a pretty dang good box for your purposes.
Yep.
This Jasmine is really good. This Hans is really good. Lantern's very helpful. Be Prepared is like a must. Iago and Lilo is definitely super helpful. Maui is definitely a good one. Cusco is a great one. Hades is not bad. Magic Mirror is a good one to have. LeFou is decent. Yeah. And then, of course, the uncommons. But, yeah, overall, I'm not upset with this box.
Yeah.
I think this will be able to make something with this. So, value-wise, I guess we're close to what it is. I mean,
you paid what, $250 for it, so I think you probably are knocking on the door of that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I've seen some bulk lots on eBay, where people are selling like commons, uncommons, and stuff, which is great for deck building when you just need like lots of different mix of cards to work with. Or if you're just going for certain colors and want to get rid of the rest. Because I don't know if I'll make a deck in every color, right? But it's hard to say if there's going to be new sets coming out, and then all of a sudden these cards that you don't care about become so much better, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think you have probably around 200 in just your legendaries alone. So I think you're probably over 250 if you were to actually piece it out.
Yeah, I think that's right. Obviously, finding a seller for everything can be hard.
Yeah, but I think, there's even like 5 or 6 cards that are like $10-15 in there. So I think there's like, and then obviously many more that are like in the $5 to $8 range. So I think if you really added it up, you'd probably be like 300 or over.
Well, Kyle, thanks for sharing this experience with us, and I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of decks come out of this.
Yeah,
I might take you back and try borrowing one of your decks.
And I'm actually planning to make one for you to use. So
cool, awesome.
Yeah, then you can actually play it. If you get the chance to do Pixelborn, I know you're tired and all that, but if you do get to do that, it's worth trying it like 1 or 2 times. Then everything will kind of click for you.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, Al. Thanks, Matt. Until the next rep.